Thank you. Welcome everybody. Thank you for being here in the session. So today we'll deep dive into the world of GCCs or Global Capability Centers as they are called. So before I start, I think everybody knows the word GCCs, Global. Show of hands, or most of you. So for the others, I'll brief you on what the Global Capability Centers are, and then more importantly, how are they improving the business agility of the organization, right? Now, before I get into the session, I just want us to go a little back to the 1990s, and where the world was trying to answer a question when we were entering this phase of more knowledge work, more knowledge related, especially technology work. The world was asking a question: can complex work be really done thousands of miles away from the headquarters? And we in India answered that very emphatically, an emphatic yes, where we said not only can the complex work be done thousands of miles away from the headquarters, but it can be done at a lower cost and more cost efficiently and in a more effective manner. And that's where we saw the birth of what we know as the IT or the BPO or the KPO industry, right? And really the shift of a new paradigm where we understood that this work can be done many, many miles away, however complex it might be. Fast forward to 2025 where we are today, and the latest data from NASSCOM shows that this whole industry of IT, outsourcing, BPO, KPO combined is today worth $283 billion and roughly contributing to 7.3, which is non-trivial, of India's GDP, employing directly around 6 million people and indirectly another 10 million, right? So that's the impact that we've had through this industry. Again, show of hands, people who started their career before 2005. Okay, between 2005 and 2015. All right, and then rest, I believe, have joined us in the workforce the last 10 years, right? So I think all of probably the people who joined 2005 will understand the picture that I've so far provided. So it's been phenomenal in terms of how the knowledge industry has changed and how the Indian technology industry has contributed significantly to that. Now, while all of this was happening for the last 25, 30 odd years, another thing that was going on in parallel, and let me sort of go a little back and get you to understand that what companies were doing right now and earlier at that point of also, if you walk into an Apple store in New York, in Tokyo, in Bengaluru, or in Paris, you probably get the same experience. If you're a Starbucks, if you're at McDonald's, same thing, right? You walk into their stores in New York, in Tokyo, in Bengaluru, in Paris, you get the same customer experience, right? Now, the question that the companies were posing at that point of time, if irrespective of the location, we can give the customer the same experience that walks into our store, why can't the office, if it is in Bengaluru, in Paris, in New York, in Tokyo, give you the same operational experience or same level of operational excellence, right? And that's how the whole GCC concept formally came into being. Now, what are GCCs or Global Capability Centers? These are in-house entities of multinational corporations working in a different office in a different country, working on critical business functions, be it technology, be it HR, be it finance, be it marketing, legal, supply chain, what have you, right? And unlike traditional outsourcing that I spoke about a little while earlier, these are entities of the same organization which have a very strong cultural and strategic alignment to the parent organization, right? So that's in a nutshell on how I define a Global Capability Center. As a result of all the phenomena that I just described, India has now become the GCC capital of the world, right? And these are the numbers as we speak today: 1,700 GCCs, contributing to 1.5% of India's GDP, 64 billion dollars plus, employing 1.9 million. Some of you here as well in the audience, part of this, and growing very healthy at a rate of 10% annual CAGR. Now, why did this all happen, right? India's Got Talent. Now, I'm not talking about the TV show. India's Got Talent, right? And talent, I mean the workforce. And of course, the talent is diverse in terms of the STEM skills that the Indian talent has, plus more. But more importantly, also that the talent available is at 1/5 to 1/10 of the cost globally, depending on the skill that we are talking about. And not only at a lesser cost, but this talent is available at scale, right? So that is primarily the reason why a lot of the GCCs or the multinational corporations started coming to India. Now, here we are, we've got number of GCCs, like I said, 1,700 of them operating in India, and they come in all shapes, sizes, flavors, right? So they've come, there are the JP Morgans, the Goldmans of the world from banking industry. You got, pharma industries, you got hospitality, you got semiconductors, you name the industry, you got the GCC here, right? In terms of size, you got Fortune 500 companies at the very top, and then you got smaller startups or smaller P-led companies as well, forming part of this GCC ecosystem. In terms of the location, they come from, Japan, MUFG Bank from Japan to Rakuten in Japan to Falabella, it was a retail company from Chile, a Societe Generale from France, and all over the world. So here we are with 1,700 of them here in India and establishing a strong presence of how GCCs look like. Now, while all of them are here, what they are doing is they are playing an important role in terms of improving the business agility of their respective organization. They are at various maturity levels on how they're contributing to the business agility of their headquarters. But all in all, if I were to level set of what is really the contributing factors to business agility of any organization, it boils down to three things, right? The principles that the organization follows, the practices that are within those principles, and the ecosystem that is within and outside the organization that develops the business agility. So all in all, business agility is, end of the day, maybe about enhancing customer experience, improving the market share, or reducing the bottom line cost. But what all of that translates into exactly two things, right? Either it has a contribution to the top line revenue of the organization, or it helps reduce the cost and therefore improves the bottom line, right? And hopefully with a better customer experience and a better employee satisfaction or employee experience, right? So if that is our definition of the outcome that every company is seeking as far as business agility is concerned, and I'll not go, and I'm sure a lot of speakers have spoken about the Agile principles that are underlying factors for the principles that are being used for business agility and the practices that organizations use in terms of enhancing the business agility. I'm going to talk about the ecosystem, the third part, which enables the agility of the GCCs, right? And this I borrowed from our friends from Business Agility Institute. So they obviously talk about there are different levels of agility, right? So there's a team level agility, there is an overall technology group level agility, and then at an organization level agility, what we call as business agility, right? But the ultimate level of agility or in all of this is how the ecosystem provides itself or lends itself to make the organization more agile. And what does ecosystem agility mean for the India ecosystem or Indian agility, right? And this, I believe, is really the moat of the Indian GCCs on how they are able to get to the highest level of business agility, right? So here in India, when we're talking about the ecosystem, we've got GCCs, of course, but we've also got the academia, which is providing the talent to fulfill the workforce. We've got the third largest ecosystem in the world of the startups. We've got 100,000 plus startups in India, over 100 unicorns. and how are they collaborating to make some of these companies agile. You got product companies, you got Microsoft, Googles of the world, SAP, Salesforce, and what have you, right? And you got strong R&D organizations which are helping develop solutions from scratch, not only for India but for the world. And then you got IT service providers that are working to what we call as best sourcing. So these are companies like I'm talking about Wipro's, Cognizant's, TCS, Accentures of the world. And then, strongly supported by the government policies that we have put in place to make this whole ecosystem agile. Rock foundation of that is both the digital as well as the physical infrastructure that India has. So all of this in my mind, just let's imagine that you are a bank, a multinational bank that wants to enter India, right? You get advantage of this entire ecosystem in India to be agile. And what do we mean by that, right? If you're a bank, you enter India, your government supports the policies that are there at the state level, that are there in the central level to support you to come and take the advantage of this ecosystem. You have your partners from the service provider world helping you, and you also have the startups, which are at the forefront of innovation, giving you ideas and collaborating with them. You, as a bank, you can, see that you are making new products and new services which are giving you competitive edge, right? And then you are in the same world, same time zone as other GCCs, where no one in the world you can have, you command that kind of a luxury where you have other GCCs of the same ecosystem being present. So, for example, you're a JP Morgan, to name, and you got the Goldmans of the world, HSBC, and the SocGens of the world here. And while they're their competition, that also provides you with the talent space that you're in, and with that collaboration in that domain, you are at the forefront of a scenario where you can improve on the use cases that you're building in your organization, right? So this is really, in my mind, the differentiator or moat for GCCs here in India, the India ecosystem. So, like I said, the GCCs come here for talent, but they stay here for the ecosystem that India provides. Right? Now, if I were to plot or create a maturity model for GCCs in where they are with respect to their business agility, and this would vary from one organization to the other. Typically, it depends on the tenure that they've had. So many organizations in India, when they start off with the cost arbitrage and say, okay, I'm going to hire so many people, and therefore that automatically gives me a cost arbitrage, right? So that's, to me, the level number one in terms of improving the cost efficiency and operational efficiency. The second is, are GCCs being able to really command the transformation agenda and help the company grow, right? Not only save cost, but grow. And the third and ultimate, where I'll bucket some of the GCCs, not many, and everybody is evolving towards that level of maturity as far as business agility is concerned, is change. Can GCCs help build new products, new services that can be a game changer in terms of shifting or changing the business altogether, and not only be a support arm of their parent organization, right? So if I were to build a maturity model, this is how the whole organization, the maturity model would look like, right? If I go further, right, so these three, if I divide into some of the aspects of how do these practices look like within all these three levels, I'm just giving you a sample on what those practices would look like, right? So many GCCs, like I said, would fall into this first bucket where they are helping save cost and improve the operational efficiencies, right? And in that regard, they're following practices of improving processes both on the technology side as well as on the business side. They are doing automation through, again, technology and business, through the likes of RPA, to now using a lot of AI to do automations within the technology and business processes. They're doing a lot to do delivery in a manner that's flawless and improving on from a technology perspective on some of their software development practices that they're using, and therefore improving the quality of the product that goes out of here, right? And have an end-to-end ownership. Now, like I said, all GCCs start with technology as the main function, but then they do graduate to having the other businesses out here sitting in the same time zone, sitting in the same office, be the HR, finance, marketing, legal, procurement, supply chain, what have you, right? So this is an ultimate in terms of what we call in agility around having a cross-functional team. Now, you can't have a better cross-functional team where your entire business and technology is sitting here and taking advantage of the agility that it provides of co-locating in the same space. And of course, talent transformation, right? So around how do we engage, how do we hire the best talent in these GCCs and then continue to engage with them. So these are some of the practices that are being adopted in the first bucket by most of the GCCs. I can give you one example of this sort. A large British consumer product company built a data analytics teams, hired the best 300-odd member team, and then worked on their whole supply chain nerve center in terms of reducing the cost for not only the GCC but for the parent organization by 30%. The second bucket is about transformation. Like I said, how are GCCs helping transform or grow in terms of not only the bottom line, the cost efficiency, but grow the top line, right? And these are some of the practices that those GCCs are following in terms of modernizing the whole technology stack and redesigning how the organization looks like, right? In terms of making the organization more flatter, having roles which are more global in nature here in India, therefore the decision making gets faster, using a lot of data and analytics, improving customer experience, and building that leadership and culture, as part of the whole organization, not only for GCCs, right? And the young workforce in India lends itself to making some new ideas on how we can change the culture of an organization which might be a 150-year-old organization set in its own ways, right? So a lot of work that goes into transforming not only from a technology standpoint, but from a culture as well as an organizational design point of view. So again, an example of transformation, a large US global airline working on the digital transformation agenda for its GCC, and in that regard working on creating an API platform that helped the whole organization build this API platform and sort of spearheaded here, which in return added a $20 billion revenue stream, contributing to online channels where the airline and its customers were able to get into accessing third-party connections where they were able to select a seat, buy new tickets, so added a new revenue stream, right? So these are some of the examples I'm talking about which helps company not only save costs but add some new revenue streams. The third, last but not the least, where this is a utopian dream for every GCC to be here to really drive the innovation agenda for their parent organization, and some of the things that they are helping do is build these new products and services which are not existing today, right? Which are absolutely net new. The IPs and the patents that are being created is one benchmark on how GCCs are creating value. The number of, year on year, the number of patents that are being filed by the GCCs in India are increasing significantly. And the third point is collaboration with the ecosystem that I just described earlier, that how a GCC is not only self-sufficient, but they are using the startups in India, they're using their service provider partners here, they're using the product companies that are available here and some of the other GCCs, along with the agenda with government to make use of the entire ecosystem and bring in agility to the outcomes that they are seeking for their parent organization. Fourth is they're having a lot of entrepreneurial programs, right? So startups within a large legacy organization is a thing that you will see in a lot of GCCs where they're carving out a portion and making a unit work exactly like a startup. And those are entrepreneurship programs again that are leading to these new products and services that are. And then of course use of the emerging technologies is increasing in the GCCs to improve overall business agility through innovation. Now, one example I can give you is again on innovation is, this is from the COVID times where a large US retail company was able to create something called a store companion, which was an app for all the, and this was deployed in 2,000 stores, where they were able to, give it to all the employees within the store, through which they were able to effectively, see the inventory and help out their customers on the fly. So this again is an example of innovation where it was unique at that time for this particular customer, and therefore, I categorize that as a new product which gave them a competitive edge. So, these are some examples that I bucket it into innovation. So these are 3 levels. Like I said, cost or operational efficiency is level 1, which helps the company save cost. The second is transformation, set of practices which helps the company grow. And third one is innovation, where we're talking about really being a game changer to introducing new products and services. So this is how the GCC industry is operating today. I think no day passes by where we see all good stories. While it's on the right trajectory, but a word of caution. Again, we are in a changing world, and therefore it's a tipping point, right? So will GCCs grow in this same trajectory, or will they fade away, right? So this is a question in front of us. So what are the challenges, right? And there are innumerous amount of challenges, but I'm going to talk about 2, right? In today's day and age, we're really talking about the challenge from the talent. Just one minute, if I may. So the challenge from the geopolitical situations, and also from the whole movement from artificial natural intelligence to general intelligence to super intelligence. So, the very advantages that we had around talent and the ecosystem can really be questioned now, right? That is the talent now relevant or will be relevant in the next few years that we hire for GCCs or otherwise? And really the ecosystem that I talked about, will that continue to be our advantage, right? So that's something that I'll leave it for us to think about, and those are the challenges that the GCCs are mindful and sort of trying to build a solution around. So that's my time. Thank you very much. Take it easy, and thank you very much.